Heartland Ephphatha Ministries. We provide services for the deaf and hard of hearing here in South Dakota, Southwest Minnesota, and statewide. And we really try to ensure that we have interpreter accessibility. We have our deaf congregation that we are able to support through Bible studies, worship, community service efforts, and that type of thing. Growing up, I always didn't understand kind of what God meant, and I never had the experience of having a sign language interpreter. They would give me a piece of paper, I would read it. It was certainly not my language. I didn't understand what it was talking about. And when I was able to join this community, I learned so much. The interpreter was able to conceptually interpret God's message to me, and it was so inspiring. 95% of the deaf community doesn't go to church because they haven't been able to receive that full message. Growing up, their parents forced them to go, and they didn't really receive a message. They just sat and kind of lost their motivation, left the church for that particular reason. Maybe the interpreter they had wasn't qualified, and what that means is that the interpreter will sign word for word, not putting any concepts into the message. They might say the church doesn't provide, full access for a deaf or hard of hearing individual. And they just say, why? We don't need to go to church. So it's important to have qualified interpreters that we can learn the message of God. In discussions with the Evangelical Lutheran Deaf Association, they really had the true mission that it had to be a deaf worshiper leading. And Heartland Ephphatha has been instrumental in helping them to understand the vision of worship in providing interpreting services during a hearing worship. And that way there's inclusion. There's inclusion within the church and the greater community. It has helped Evangelical Lutheran Deaf Association to make some changes with their philosophies. Deaf schools are closing, causing those kids to go into the mainstream. And so we have served, I believe, as a role model and made a difference for the better. And we really appreciate Peace Lutheran and their ability to support Heartland Ephphatha and the needs that we have had. So we're very grateful to be a part of this church.